Okay, let's take a look at our Regents Review homework number 3. So this first question says, for each of the following functions, find the outputs for the given input. So they're giving us an output and we need to find the input. So the function given to us is h of x is equal to 2/3 x minus 1. Notice that inside your parentheses, h of x is going to be put over here after the 2/3, right? So whatever's inside your parentheses, you are now going to be putting it in front of your 2/3. Okay, so let's take a look at this first problem together. H of -3. -3 was inside your parentheses. So we're going to copy over exactly what I see. And let's highlight that in red. So that piece of my function is going to be 2/3. And instead of x, we're going to put parentheses because we are not plugging in x. We are going to be plugging in -3. We plug -3 into our parentheses, and now we have this expression. We just need to evaluate it, plug it into your calculator exactly as you see it. Remember, to get fractions on your calculator, which we have 2/3 here, you need to press alpha, and then you press y equals, and then you press enter. And then you can enter a fraction. So if we enter that exactly as we see it into our calculator, you will get that this is going to be equal to -3. Please make sure you get that on your calculator, otherwise it means you're doing something wrong. Okay, so those all deal with h, which means you will be using this function here because they all deal with h. Let's take a look at the next function, which is f of x. So those are the next 3 problems. This function says when you have x, when you are inputting x, you're going to x squared and then minus x. So you're going to square the number and then subtract itself. Well, the first problem, I'm plugging in -4. So we're going to do this almost the same, exactly the same as how we did the problem above. F of -4, so I'm going to copy over this entire piece. Except instead of x, we are putting in parentheses because I don't know what I'm putting in yet. So this is x squared minus x, and I am plugging in -4 for my x value. Instead of x, I am putting in -4. Now all we have to do is put this into our calculator, parentheses and all, and you should get a positive 20. If you are not getting a positive 20, it's because you are inputting something incorrectly into your calculator. Make sure you're using parentheses, make sure you're using negatives, and sometimes make sure you're using subtractions, the difference between the two. Let's take a look at the problem below. This problem says, given the graph of f(x), find each function value. So again, this first problem, it's inside your parentheses, and that is your x value. Basically, what they're saying is, what is the point on the graph that has an x value of -1? What is the y value? We are looking for the y value on your parabola. This is a parabola that has an x value of -1. So let's first locate -1 on my graph, and that's where I'm drawing this green dot here. But that's not the only place x is equal to -1. X is also equal to -1 here. X is also equal to -1 here. X is also equal to -1 here. Basically, this entire line, x is always going to be equal to -1. I just need the point where we actually pass the parabola, where we intersect with the parabola, and that's this point that I'm making in blue right here. And that is the point. Well, my x value is -1, which makes sense. That's what I want. And my y value is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when I plug in -1 into this function, it spits back out the value of 5. So f of -1, when you input -1, you get an output of 5. Please go ahead and try to do these other problems by yourself.